known as the ones who killed a bunch of unarmed American citizens. And at that point, that was it. The BLM apparently had enough people that were decent working there that they said to themselves, not me. And that's when they stood down. And that's when the American people won.
Well, you know, Larry, I mean, that's what I told my wife, ex-wife, that I would never sit back and watch something like that happen again. And I went out and did two things. I started this magazine, this radio show, and I started the militias, at least the ADL and Southern Poverty Law, try to give me credit for starting that. And they just don't tell Americans that I did it in the governor's office. That was Governor Gary Johnson. He was totally aware of what I was doing. He was totally aware that we weren't terrorists. We weren't criminals. We were just Americans that know how to use a gun. I mean, actually on that first meeting that we had up there on the NRA rifle range just south of Raton, my teenage sons outshot all the ex-military and ex-police that had come up to be trained there at the rifle range. So, you know, no terrorist organization here, and that governor just ran for president. He should have won. We'd been a lot better off if Gary Johnson had been elected, if the American people knew about the Libertarian Party and knew what Johnson stood for. But it was because of the militia. They played a very strong role in making the BLM stand down. So I feel, you know, I don't feel any shame about starting a militia. I'm very proud of what I did. And I'm proud of the American people, of what the American people did in Bunkerville.
Amen. It was a great day in American history. I think it was a pivotal moment in modern American history when people from all over the country rallied around the rancher Bundy and went to his defense. And there were two things, I think, that the difference. One was the presence of armed people there at the ranch, and the other was armed people with cell phones and real-time transmission on the internet of what was happening. And when the government realized that the plan was going to be seen by the world, the evil deeds of darkness evaporated in the light of day.
Well, you know, I've told everybody it's a double-edged sword. The government tries to keep track of us and limit us with using the computers and the internet, but it gives us the power. The world is watching now, because I can show the world what's happening with this little device in my telephone now. I can be up on YouTube in an instant if I'm being faced, or you know, and I think that's really part of our safety here. Nobody wants to come in and try to kick in my door. First of all, they've been told that I'm armed and dangerous. That was the name of the ADL booklet they put out. I called them up in New York, Larry. I said, "Hi, this is Clay Douglas. I just wanted you assholes to know you got something right. I am armed, and if you mess with my family or my country, I'm definitely dangerous."
Well, after the Bundy Ranch episode, it would seem to me that the government is aware of that. I really think that was a defining moment in our contemporary history.
It's what people need to understand. You know, I mean, I think back almost on a daily basis to the wisdom of our founding fathers and Benjamin Franklin being asked, "What form of government have you wrought for us, Mr. Franklin?" He said, "A constitutional republic, if you can keep it." And somebody else told me one time, said, "You know, Clay, they don't really have the power they want you to believe they have, because we outnumber them. We're the people, and if we are educated, if we are informed, we have the power. We have a lot more power than they want to believe, that they want to give us credit for. We can stop these people. We can change them around." Now, we just had an event in Washington. I don't know if you covered it. Part of it was interfered with. That was the Operation American Spring. Colonel Harry Riley was doing that. But he was trying to send all these people into Washington, D.C. He failed to get that many to go. But he told them to go unarmed, which, considering Washington, D.C., you know, they threw Adam Kokesh in jail for just doing a film of him carrying a gun in Washington. I guess if he might have been better off if he hadn't put any of those monuments in the background, so they wouldn't know where he was carrying that gun at. But while Operation American Spring was kind of fizzled out, no 10 million, no, not a million, not 1,000 showed up. But this next weekend, we'll have well over 1 million bikers come to Washington, D.C., like they do every year for Rolling Thunder. Honoring our POWs and our MIAs, and that's an event I hate to miss, because I've been going there and promoting that for the last 20 years, since I've been doing this magazine.
Well, y'all come.
And there's never any violence, there's never any problem. I mean, you just get a bunch of bikers going on, and thousands of people on the street waving at us, cheering us on.
Yep, that's right. I know that has happened.
Now, what I've got up on information for the show, that Obama's budget lays groundwork for universal gun registry, and we got a pretty good example. We've had some pretty good examples right up there in the East, in Boston, where the original Tea Party, I guess, occurred. But what happened in Boston, we had SWAT teams looking for a teenager, and they went in and rousted people out of their houses with these SWAT teams, militarized police. And I believe, where was it, New Hampshire, where if you failed to register your gun, they were going to, you were going to instantly become a criminal. And that somehow fell apart, because the people that weren't registering their guns were the very people they wanted to send in to get them, the police. They said, well, my father's a police chief, and he didn't register his gun. Who are you going to get to come take his? Can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, that actually, I think, was in Connecticut.
Connecticut, yes, sir, okay.
Even more amazingly, because it's a rather liberal state, and the people just simply did not comply with this over-the-top gun control law that had been put on the books. They let the deadline go by, and they did not register their guns. Thousands of people in Connecticut said to the authorities, by their non-compliance, no, we're not going along with that. And I thought, you know what? There's probably hope for our country. When Connecticut says no to gun control, there's hope. There's hope for America. That was just extraordinary. I was amazed. And I still just don't really understand how that happened. But it did. And I am rejoicing to say that Connecticut said no to gun control.
Well, they still try to demonize us. You know, I've told my audience here, you can consider me the canary in the coal mine. They'll come after me. They'll try to demonize me. They'll try to put me down. They don't want you listening to me. And they did the same thing to Cleveland Bundy. I mean, I talked to my ex-wife out in California. She said, "Well, you know, they're putting him down. Everybody's laughing at him. They're saying, you know, he didn't want to pay his taxes. He didn't want to pay his fair share. Everybody's laughing at him." I don't see that. Certainly nobody I know is laughing at him. But that's part of the media trying to discredit anybody that's standing up for it. Why should we pay the federal government for the grass that our cows eat? So we can, you know, they're preventing wildfires. They're, you know, at least we don't have to have illegal aliens on riding mowers running around our pastures, do we?
The federal government shouldn't have those lands. That is unconstitutional. It's not part of their enumerated powers, and yet they do. And I think that's the root of the problem. And that was something that Bundy was pointing to. I've been paying my taxes to the local government, not to the feds, because feds don't have any right to have these lands.
Now, this is probably not related, but I think it deserves a comment. Obama is now trying to declare a stretch of land down there in, I believe it's in New Mexico, as a national monument, and it's already being used as a route for drug smugglers. I was working with the sheriff of the county in Arizona, Larry Devers. I put on a run for Cochise County, motorcycle run for him, planned the whole thing. He got threatened, and then he got killed. They murdered Larry Devers. Oh, it was an accident. An experienced sheriff of 40 years somehow drove off the road and killed himself. My ass. And we've got other sheriffs there in Arizona that were talking about these illegals coming up. We've got a lot of these illegals are being, Obama's trying to give them amnesty, and they're responsible for dozens of murders right there in Arizona and New Mexico. Second half of the show, I'm playing a clip from the former Border Patrols Association, and I remember talking to a Border Patrol agent back when Charles Collins was running for president, wanting to stop the Fed, issue our own money again, like the Constitution provides. And the Border Patrol agent said, we could stop the illegals. We could stop all the drugs in a heartbeat. They won't let us. Our superiors won't let us.
Yeah. Well, that's it starts from the top.
It's amazing to me, Larry. Sheriff Joe Arpaio, right there in Phoenix, sent his detectives out and found out Obama's birth certificate all was a forgery, that this whole thing's a lie. and that Obama's either working for the illegals or he's working for the Muslims. He's not working for the American people. And yet we can't get him impeached. We can't get him tried. We can't. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're president, it doesn't matter how many Social Security numbers you got. And I blame all of this on our Congress. We got, what, 535 people up there in the legislative branch of our government that won't do anything about any of this that's happening. American people know it's wrong. You're in there with them. You're in the hallways. You're rubbing elbows with them. What's wrong with these people?
You've got folks that just think that the American people are to be told what to do because they don't. Well, in Washington, the word Constitution is viewed as a four-letter word.
Well, how many judges have you heard say, "Don't bring that Constitution into my courtroom"?
Yep, that's not uncommon, I'm sorry to say.
I really have a hard time understanding this. You know, I mean, have they just been bought out, paid off? Or, you know, are we living in some kind of little dream world? It's like being in a nightmare and not being able to wake up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what it's like. We've got folks that are absolutely convinced that the Constitution doesn't mean anything. Here in Washington, the Constitution is viewed as a four-letter word.
Is there any positive? Well, we talked about the positive. The positive is what happened to the Bundys. What happened when the people of their county rose up? The sheriff wouldn't help them. The sheriff, they called the sheriff. They begged him to come out. He never showed his face.
You know, he ultimately sent a deputy to tell the feds to back down, and I think it was entirely because of the internet, because the sheriff realized that the whole world was looking at what was going on the Bundy Ranch, and so the sheriff finally did what sheriffs are supposed to do, and he went and had sent a deputy to tell federal agents to stand down. And from what former Sheriff Richard Mack told me, the deputy said, "Do you want to be known as the people who killed unarmed Americans, men and women?" And because that's who the cowboys were. When they went to open the corral where those cattle were being kept, they were not armed. Men and women on horseback went in there unarmed, and they were really concerned that they were going to get shot. And that's when that deputy went up and told the BLM, "Do you want to be known as the people that killed unarmed men and women here in Bunkerville?" That's how it happened, according to what Richard Mack saw, because he was there.
I was a little disappointed in the Oath Keepers. Somebody started a rumor that there was going to be a drone strike there in Nevada, and all the Oath Keepers, a number of them anyway, just packed up and ran.
Well, that's not what I heard from Stuart Rhodes. Stuart Rhodes, the head of the Oath Keepers, had called me to have me come out to a news conference that they were planning on Monday, following the Saturday when the feds folded. And it was on Saturday that he called me and told me that the feds had folded and we're not going to have a news conference because they're gone. So I don't know what word went out about Oath Keepers, but as far as I know, they were all in.
Okay. Well, there were people there, and again, you know, at least thank God we've got multiple people reporting on what's happening. And again, that's the advantage of the internet. That's the advantage of these cell phones. Everybody is a reporter out there.
Yep. That's, I think, what turned the day.
What about our Attorney General? And what about these new things that's happening? What's this new Obama registration that we talked about, that you mentioned here, that he's laying the groundwork of for a universal gun registry? And you also said that a couple of months ago you alerted people to a New Jersey gun control bill that not only threatens the citizen of New Jersey, but gun owners everywhere. I think this is Assembly Bill 2006, would reduce magazine capacity in New Jersey from 15 rounds to 10 rounds. How about that in this universal gun registry?
Well, in New Jersey, they thought they had figured out a way to really stick it to the rest of the country by saying that if there is a quote-unquote smart gun that is available commercially, then only a smart gun can be available in New Jersey, and no other guns. The kind of guns we've had for a couple hundred years here in this country, pistols, revolvers, and so forth. And what turned out to be the case is that the smart gun turned out to be a dummy gun. The smart gun isn't really an effective technology. It's not reliable. It can be something that just doesn't work, and as long as it doesn't work, even if there's a 10% chance that it doesn't work, and that's all you've got, your little bracelet and your RFID communication with your gun, and it doesn't work, oops, that's a big problem. It turns out that the RFID chip in that gun can be neutralized by hackers or the government, and so you don't really have a gun at all. If you have one of these smart guns, it's not smart at all. It is a complete misnomer. And for New Jersey to say that, well, if one's available somewhere else in the country, then 3 years from now, you can't buy one of the new, one of the old gun guns, one of the new smart guns. Turns out, not so much.
Well, it's almost the same thing they were doing with the safes. You need to put your gun in a gun safe, lock it up, and if you really need it, you got to be able to. You better hope you got the time to punch in the combination or find the key to the lock, or you know, they don't want us to be able to defend ourselves. That's
right, and of course defend ourselves from whom? From them.
From them. That's it. They are starting to get frightened, I think, Larry. More and more people are waking up. The internet, this show here, I don't know how many people it goes out to, but it's forwarded and it's forwarded and it's forwarded. This show will be pulled down off of YouTube. It'll be pulled off of Blog Talk Radio. It'll be forwarded everywhere. And so we're starting to reach people, and if you're listening to our conversation, it's not being edited by CNN censors. It's not being edited by ABC or NBC's censors. So you're really getting the straight scoop from the people that are there. You're in the halls of Congress. I mean, you have my sympathies.
Yep.
But I'm glad you're there. I'm glad you're there, you know. And they've even tried to, they put you and I together in an NAACP bulletin here, trying to make us into racists, make us into bigots. Nothing can be further from the truth. And yet, you know, this is what goes out on the mainstream. And, you know, again, I tell people over and over again, man, I don't care who your grandmother slept with. I don't care where you were raised. Your Constitution takes care of it. So, whatever you want to do, however you want to try to find God, that's up to you. That's your business. Just don't try to get me to beat my head against that Wailing Wall. It ain't going to happen.
Exactly.
And that's really what this country is all about. It's called freedom. It's called liberty. And, you know, Larry, I've always owned guns. I mean, I got pulled over by the Coast Guard there in Miami. Hi, Clay. You got guns on board? Yeah, the Uzis over there, the Mini 14s right there, pistols under my chair here. You know, there was no hassle. There was nothing. That gun never did jump up and shoot nobody.
How about that?
But then again, I never got boarded by pirates either. You know, Coast Guard, you want to come on board? Come on. Personally, I appreciate it if you'd wait till I pull up and dock over there so I don't float into anything. But you know, once I'm tied up, you're certainly welcome aboard.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they're trying to do, Larry, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of this is trying to, they rule by fear. Be afraid, be afraid. Oh, the Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. Well, the Russians were our friends. The Russians were our neighbors. This whole Cold War was nothing but an excuse to sell more weapons because the bankers fund both sides. And I think they tried to do the same thing with me. And the militias are coming. The militias were formed in the governor's office. The militia is simply every able-bodied male between the ages of 18 and 45, and the governor can call us up anytime he wants.
Yep, that's exactly right.
And the only difference between me and everybody else is I help train you. I hired people to come in and train us. Train me, train my sons, train my neighbors. This is how you use a gun. This is how you defend yourself. Here's these targets. Here's how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I prefer to have trained people walking beside me if we're going into a situation.
It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. And we're talking about a group of armed people under the authority of a governor or of a sheriff in a county. And that's what drives the left nuts.
And, you know, for this last week, I've had shows a little out of the ordinary for me. I've had people talking about food. I've had people talking about their minerals. I've had people talking about their weight, talking about their health. And when you really get down to it, if you can take care of yourself, share that knowledge with your neighbor, and your sheriff and your county that's where our power lies. It was the neighbors and the populace in Bunkerville, Cleveland Bundy's neighbors came to his aid. Sheriff might not have. I bet he doesn't survive the next election. I bet he ain't sheriff of the next election. But
well, he eventually got there, and I think it was because there was so much popular support for Bundy that, and attention on what he was doing or not doing, that eventually led him to go and sending a deputy out. He didn't even do it himself. Sent a deputy.
Well, at least, we know the sheriff's department has one set of balls in Bundy's County. But it's pretty obvious that he only responded when there was so much visibility to what he was not doing that he ultimately ended up doing the right thing. So I think the internet was the tipping point. I believe so too. And folks, I'm kind of doing a drive right now, Larry. I've got a steel horse for my transportation, and it had to go into the shop. So I've got a $1,500 bill over there, and that's a little bit out of my range of income right now. So I'm putting out a call to anyone that's listening to this show. Go to freeamerican.com. Click on the donate button and make a donation so I can cover my mechanic's bill, so I got transportation, so I can go get the mail, so I can go to some of these meetings and spread the good news. And there is good news out there. Larry, we're starting to find out that we don't have to be quite as dependent on the oil companies, on the chemical companies, and the Monsantos out there that are feeding you basically food that ain't good for you, that rats won't eat, but they're feeding it to you and your children, genetically modified crap. And we're still fighting battles right now in Dallas. There's a movement to stop the fluoridation of the water. Same thing's happening in some towns like Austin, San Antonio. People are getting tired of being fed poisons, and they're also making discoveries that even these chemtrails that we're seeing in the air they're spraying us with aluminum. The aluminum's combining with the fluoride, and there's increased cases of Alzheimer's. I mean, we kind of kid around about the dumbing down of America, but they are finding in the research that fluoride and aluminum concentrates, even on our mountaintops and in our water, are causing senility. They're causing Alzheimer's. They're causing dementia.
Well, we've in my house enjoyed distilled water for a long time, so that's not an issue.
I think that's fairly apparent. That's why you're on my show. It's you still have your faculties. You still have a mind. You still got common sense. A lot of these people have just lost their common sense. Exactly why are you putting fluoride in the water? It don't help your tooth decay. They used it in concentration camps in Russia, in Germany, to keep the people docile. But we can make a difference in our counties. I'm guilty of this. Larry. I lived in Miami for 8 years, and I never talked to any of my neighbors. If we had just neighborhoods that were trying to maybe grow food instead of grass in their backyards, if we had neighborhoods that were putting solar and wind on their roofs rather than buying it from the power companies, we could be a lot more self-sufficient. We could set ourselves free from these power bills. And the U.S. Navy has just discovered, wow, we can run these ships on the water they float on, as opposed to buying all this gasoline from BP or Standard Oil in New York. We got the technology there. They simply, as a matter of fact, in this next issue, I'm doing a story from this Disclosure Project. They're talking about UFOs, and I found that some of these insiders, some of these, majestic 12 people that have a high enough security clearance are actually coming forward and starting to tell us the reason the UFOs are so top secret is exactly what I've been telling people for years. They simply don't want you to know that we could have lunch on the moon and be back in time for dinner here without using a drop of gasoline.
Whoa.
The technology's there. And this Colonel Corso wrote a book about it. He's the reason we got the night vision glasses. The reason we got a lot of the stuff they recovered from the Roswell crash. And I've got pretty good confirmation from one of my ex-father-in-laws, who said, who was the Marine colonel that escorted the surviving extraterrestrial biological entity, who they called Eve, to Truman's office from Roswell. So there's a lot we're not being told, and the evidence coming out from archaeologists and scientists is that hey, we might have had this worldwide civilization 10,000 years ago. And a lot of the technology that we're discovering now, we're just discovering now, rediscovering. So I think there's a lot of hope for the people. You can run your ships on water. You can run your cars on algae grown in a pipe in your backyard. We've got answers for this. And the primary thing is what you are doing. If you've got if you've got a garden, if you've got a source of food, you better have a gun to protect it. Because somebody that's going to, if they get hungry, they're going to come for you, no matter how good your preparations are. If you don't have the protection of your neighbors, you don't have the protection of your sheriffs, then you're collateral damage.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. We've got to be good neighbors and have good relations with our neighbors.
Well, Larry, I am proud to know you've known you for, well, around 20 years now that we've been doing this. And I appreciate having your voice, having the ear of some of these congressmen. And I believe that we are making a difference with the internet, with getting this show out here, getting your intelligence out there, making people aware. Anything they're trying to do, if they want you to register your guns, they want to be able to track your guns, they want to be able to track your purchases. It ain't for your own good, folks.
Nope, it's not for our good.
Larry, we got 5 minutes left. I'd like to give those to you to tell people how they can help you. You need support too. Anybody that's doing this, Gun Owners of America, needs your donations, needs your membership, needs your support. I'm Clay Douglas. I'm the Free American, freeamerican.com. I need your support. I need your help here. You know, I'm not like Matt Lauer getting paid the big bucks to lie to you. I try to tell you the truth. I've got the magazine out. You can get you used to be able to go to the bookstore if you could find it and buy the Free American for $5. Now you can get it from shop.freeamerican.com for $2.99. I decided to cut out the Hearst paper company, keep them from cutting down trees to make paper out of. I quit supporting DuPont, who made the ink. Now the magazine's available for you to read for $2.99 on freeamerican.com. And gun owners, give out your website and tell people how they can help you, Larry.
Well, they can find us at gunowners.org, and if they go there, we would be most eager to have folks sign up to get our alerts, and they can do that in the Take Action drop-down box, and those alerts will tell them what's going on in Washington, and they'll embed an email that they can send off to their member of Congress so that they can really have an impact, and it has been making a difference. We've been able to defeat gun control legislation because so many people are on that alert list that when they got the alerts, they sent off the embedded email that the members of Congress realized, oops, better not go there.
All right, we've got that linked underneath this show. This show is under Larry's name, Larry Pratt, and the Gun Owners of America is linked. Every Free American out there. And Larry, you're welcome back anytime. I look forward to every time you come on here. I really look forward to it.
Well, thank you, Clay. It's good to be with you.
All right, sir. I know you got more work to do, so I'll let you go.
Well, thanks for having me on. Appreciate being with you.
Thank you, sir. Goodbye.
Hey, bye-bye.
All right. Now, let me see here. What else I've got? What else I've got for you? First of all, let me see. If I can pull my other station back in.
You dialed is not accepting calls at this time.
All right, let's do this then.
Hello, you've reached Richard Palmquist at Truth Radio. Glad to hear from you. And if you'll leave me a message, I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for calling.
The message is I can't get into Truth Radio. It won't let me in today. Wouldn't let me in at the top of the hour. Wouldn't let me in on the second hour. So I haven't been broadcasting on Truth Radio. But try yourself here. Hold on, folks.
we didn't connect now, but we will soon when I get back to you. If I fail to get back to you, feel free to call me back again.
At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options. To leave a callback number, press 5.
Just giving you a heads up, it's 10:01. I haven't been able to get onto Truth Radio for an hour. Tried several times. Missed a great interview. Letting you know. God bless. Free American, Clay Douglas, Collie. Alright, now let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got. I think I'll bring up my Facebook. Alright. Law enforcement officers who are on our side. Let's check this out. And how are we doing here? Who we got in here? Man, I don't understand what's going on with you guys in the chat room, but nevertheless, let's do this. And we've still got...
yeah, we haven't been in that area in several hours. We're actually getting inundated where we're at to the west.
10, this is Night Owl on Air 4. We're 10-8, we're en route. We're about 20 mics from Ajo. You guys got targets out there?
Are you kidding me? We just broke the record.
The National Association of Former Border Patrol Officers, hereafter referred to as NAFBO, was formed during the 2006 attempt at amnesty. NAFBO is a nonpartisan group formed to respond to the misinformation and disinformation surrounding the 2006 amnesty legislation with fact. We are a 501c4 organization that is affiliated with no other organization. Our board of directors, officers, and senior members have spent a collective millennia and more in the field of immigration. We are advocates for immigration laws and policies that are good for America, and we advocate against those laws and policies that are not in America's best interest. The purpose of this presentation is to show you events that contribute to the intelligence factor associated with an insecure border and aid you in connecting the dots as to what is really the status of border security going forward, as opposed to what interested parties would have you believe. Make no mistake, the underlying struggle and main reason that the border has not been secured is directly related to interactions of money and power and money. Our goal is to educate the American people to the dangers of illegal immigration and border insecurity so they can directly influence our elected officials to make a secure border and a safe America a reality. Political correctness has no place in this conversation. You are urged to consider this presentation as an intelligence briefing about criminal violence along the Arizona-New Mexico border with Mexico. Essentially, it contains the elements of a congressional briefing presented August the 18th, 2012. Parts of this presentation are very graphic in nature. We have found through experience that the words extreme violence and domestic terrorism are relatively meaningless in comparison to the photographic representations showing actual examples of those events. To soften this message would diminish full understanding. My name is Zach Taylor. I am the current chairman of NAFBO and their designated border security expert. I spent over 26 years on the Texas and Arizona border with Mexico, apprehending drug and alien smugglers. My primary job was generating and responding to real-time intelligence directly related to cross-border criminal activity. This briefing will be conducted much as I would brief a military unit, special operations detail, or detailed in agents about what is happening in the border area of operations on the ground. In this case, I am briefing you as to what you can expect today. The primary purpose of the immigration laws of the United States are to ensure the national security and public safety of America. These two elements are also the foundational elements of border security in our view. The subject of this briefing is the present state of border security and criminal violence associated with the Arizona and New Mexico border with the Republic of Mexico. The border situation is no longer simply about the poor coming here to find a better life. The evidence points to a much higher stakes struggle with the security of America hanging in the balance. To that end, I will synopsize events that clearly demonstrate that this border is not secure, but is a dangerous and lawless place. Arizona's immediate border area is represented by the lower red line and is 25 miles from the international border. This is called the immediate border area. 62% of this border is federal public land. The Border Patrol does not have unfettered access to all of the federal public land within the immediate border area for the purposes of patrolling and securing the border. By law, the Border Patrol does have unfettered access to state and private lands within this 25-mile zone. The Border Patrol cannot secure the border if they do not have unfettered access to the physical border and the immediate border area. The border region is represented by the red line 100 miles north of the Mexican border. The Border Patrol needs, but does not have, unfettered access to all public lands within this zone. The lack of unfettered access by the Border Patrol significantly contributes to the development and maintenance of lawless conditions on much of these lands. As you can see, these federal public lands flow in contiguous fashion from Mexico to the Phoenix, Arizona area and do provide a drug and alien smuggling corridor to the transnational criminals that exploit their advantage there. This enforced policy by government officials of preferring subjectively presented environmental protection over an objective program to secure the border has contributed to the creation of these lawless areas in no small way and ensures the continuance of illegal activities there. This drug smuggling corridor is provided to the transnational criminals complements of the United States government. And, as you will see, certain members of Congress seek to provide another drug and alien smuggling corridor for transnational criminals in New Mexico. In the section of the Arizona-Mexico border that lies within the Tucson Border Patrol sector, the current on-duty agents reported in 2010 and 2011 that they estimated that they were apprehending less than 3% of the illegal traffic that was crossing the border and were effectively patrolling less than 70% of their assigned border area on a monthly basis. In that same time frame, Tucson sector management estimated that agents were apprehending 25% of what was crossing the border illegally. Either figure is unacceptable, and neither is evidence of a secure border. This is a photograph of the Monument Fire. The account of events that was reported to Forest Service headquarters was: one set of tracks came out of Mexico, went around the west end of the border fence to enter the United States. That subject walked about 60 yards east, dispersed an accelerant, lit the accelerant, and walked back around the west end of the border fence and returned to Mexico. The U.S. Forest Service sent this report to the State Department. The State Department instructed the Forest Service not to release the information. Beginning on May 18, 2011, until after the fire was out, the Coronado National Forest was closed to civilian traffic, increasing the probability that the cause came from Mexico. This was a case of information related to border violence being intentionally concealed from the American public. 67 homes were destroyed by this fire, and the local residents that did not flee for their lives were evacuated. The fire was in the Miller Wilderness on Fort Huachuca. Fort Huachuca is a top-secret military installation. Fort Huachuca is also an active drug and alien smuggling corridor. This is a photograph of the Murphy Complex fire in Peck Canyon, which is within the Tumacacri Highlands Wilderness Study Area. 3 illegal aliens from Mexico were apprehended in the area that admitted setting some of the fires. Their alleged story about setting the fires as signal fires did not make sense. They kept moving downwind with the smoke and setting additional fires. The United States Attorney at Phoenix, Arizona, Dennis Burks, declined to prosecute the arsonists. Dennis Burks is also the United States Attorney with jurisdiction and oversight for Operation Fast and Furious. The U.S. Forest Service and the U.S. Border Patrol attempted to cover up the fact that the fires were set by 3 aliens then in custody. Even more telling, the incident commander for the Murphy Complex fire personally contacted the Arizona Republic and gave them the facts, and they would not run the story. This was clear evidence of a cover-up about the Murphy Complex fire, orchestrated by the government and aided by one of the largest newspapers in Arizona. Again, the Forest Service was ordered by the Department of State not to report the facts about people from Mexico starting the fires. This information is from the Wildland Firefighters Log of the U.S. Forest Service, Nogales Ranger District. The timeline was not available, but I was told it covered a considerable amount of time. This is a color map of Congressman Raul Grijalva's proposed Tumacacri Highlands Wilderness in dark green. Note that it is contiguous from the Mexican border north into Pima County, Arizona, and beyond the Border Patrol checkpoint north of Tubac, Arizona. The creation of this wilderness study area effectively extended the U.S.-Mexico border approximately 23 miles into the United States and provided a way around the Border Patrol checkpoint for drug and alien smugglers. Wilderness designations hinder Border Patrol operations and do not provide agents with unfettered access they need to secure the border. Note at the center of this map is Peck Canyon. Peck Canyon is where Brian Terry was killed by weapons provided to criminals during Operation Fast and Furious. Peck Canyon arguably is the most dangerous area along the U.S.-Mexico border. Please note the connection between federally protected lands such as wilderness and monuments and transnational criminal activity. This is an incident plot of the Peck Canyon area within the Tumacacri Highlands Wilderness Study Area. This level of violent criminal activity was documented just 3 weeks before Brian Terry was killed in Peck Canyon. That his team was sent into Peck Canyon armed with beanbags in their shotguns is a very strong indicator that the leadership in the Department of Homeland Security is not interested in officer safety. This infinite plot is proof that Peck Canyon required a response stronger than beanbags. 2.5 years later, those responsible for Operation Fast and Furious that signed the authorizing Form 819 have yet to be disclosed or brought to justice. Again, here we have a clear acknowledgement that this section of the Arizona-Mexico border is dangerous. This monument is dangerous to the extent that it is closed to the public because of
What they're saying here, warning signs up. Smuggling and or illegal entry is common in this area due to the proximity to the international border. Please be aware of your surroundings at all times and do not travel alone in remote areas. Danger, public warning, travel not recommended.
National criminal activity. Yet, the Border Patrol is denied unfettered access to secure the border. It is difficult to imagine who, more than the transnational criminals, benefit from such a policy. Such a policy does not contribute to border security. This photograph was taken right from the Arizona Game and Fish Hunting Regulations booklet. It should read, "Border insecurity exists in all of southern Arizona, from California to New Mexico," rather than it does. What led Arizona Game and Fish to post such an advisory? Obviously, they have reason to believe there are border insecurity issues in southern Arizona. I think the answer is game cameras. Hunters and the game department use game cameras to locate and identify animal activity. These cameras and law enforcement surveillance cameras provided documented proof of criminal activity. The following slides are likely the type of photographs that led Game and Fish to conclude that southern Arizona is not safe. This is an infrared photograph of a drug smuggling group that has walked a load of marijuana from Mexico to a location on Interstate Highway 8 near Freeman, Arizona. Note that one of the group is carrying what appears to be an AK-47 rifle. This location is in the Tabletop Wilderness area.
Hello there, Mr. Truth Radio.
Yes, Clay, I apologize. We've had a system failure here on this end. I noticed at the top of your second hour that you weren't there, and I thought it was you, but instead it turns out not only is our audio system down, but our connection to the internet has mysteriously disappeared. So I just wanted to give you that heads up and apology, and I'm working on it. I'll let you know when things are up and running again.
All right. Well, we're still up on Crusade and Blog Talk. The first hour on Blog Talk was with Larry Pratt. So if you get a chance, you can download that and put that up on your archives. The second hour here that I'm doing right now.
I have to get on phone with my cable company. I know what the issue is. They're trying to bill me $30 for movies I did not order, and it was impossible strategically to order, especially the kinds of movies they're saying that were ordered from this household, because there's no one here who is awake at the hour they claim, and so I refused to pay that part of my bill. And nonetheless, my good record of payment all through the years for the one of that $40 Charter Cable has apparently decided to become mean and nasty. I wish there were an alternate source of internet connection here in this area. But at any rate, we'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted.
All right. Well, I've got, like I said, today's show with Larry Pratt for the first hour. The second hour, I'm doing a film or a recording here from the National Association of Border Patrol Agents, talking about the expansion of the drug smuggling that's coming into the country. So that's all on my second hour up on Blog Talk Radio. If you get a chance to download that and put that in your archives, I think you'd be real happy with it, and so would the audience. Sorry we missed you today, but we'll be back tomorrow. Alright, still going here. Alright.
And approximately 77 miles north of the Mexican border. This is another infrared photograph. This one is of a drug mule carrying a large bundle north in the Tumacacri Highlands proposed wilderness area in Santa Cruz County, Arizona. Here we see what appears to be a transnational criminal captured on film in southeast Cochise County, Arizona, near the Mexican border. Note the foam-soled shoes and the 30-round magazine in the AR-15 style rifle. 30-round magazines in 2008 were illegal to use for hunting purposes. The illegal drug and alien loads leave plenty of garbage along their trails coming into the United States. This site also shows the telltale signs of being a robbery site due to the way some of the litter is dispersed. These are the three elements normally present on federal public lands along the border that lead to those lands becoming lawless. Where these three elements exist, no one should feel safe.
Now, all of the videos here are available up on my Facebook site, facebook.com/freeamerican69, and this NAFBPO border presentation is available there. I suggest you see it. Now, be forewarned that there are some scenes of violence and that may be disturbing to you sensitive liberals out there, but hey, hope you get tough.
This is a photograph of myself in one such unsafe area at the Mexican border. I am holding the remnant of the border fence and standing on a major smuggling trail that leads to a rape tree inside the United States. This insecure and poorly defined fence is in the Pajarito Wilderness, where Border Patrol agents do not have unfettered access. Rape is a crime of violence. This is a photograph of an active rape tree. At this particular tree, there were over 30 sets of female underwear scattered about. There was no other trash except a few beauty aids such as eyeliner and lipstick. Victims report that they are separated from their smuggling group, taken to such a tree, and then raped. Sometimes they are raped by multiple assailants. Occasionally, the women are in such poor condition after the ordeal that they cannot travel and are abandoned in the desert. These undergarments obviously had belonged to a young, small, female child. The trainer bra was with the torn panties. Note that considerable force was exerted to break the side straps on the panties. Among the footprints at this location was the print of one small bare foot. Being barefooted in this desert is as effective as being physically restrained, unless the person seldom, if ever, has worn shoes. Agents responding to censored traffic on the east side of the Tumacacri Highlands Wilderness Study Area encountered a group of marijuana smugglers at Tubac, Arizona. This smuggler fired 6 shots at a Border Patrol agent at close range. Fortunately, the smuggler missed. The Border Patrol agent did not. Note the .357 Magnum handgun and the marijuana backpack still on the smuggler's back. Had you seen this smuggler walking down the street anywhere in Arizona or New Mexico without the gun and marijuana backpack, you probably would not think anything about him. The fact is, these transnational criminals live among us. They are here primarily to engage in illegal activity. This is a photograph taken of a group of smuggled aliens west of Tubac, Arizona. This group is believed to be illegal aliens from China, in the same general area where 3 illegal alien smugglers were found in November 2011 that had been executed. Reliable reports indicate that the cost to smuggle illegal Chinese into the United States is in excess of $100,000 US for each alien. These kinds of aliens are referred to as high-value aliens because of the cost to smuggle them into the United States. While we may speculate whether or not the executed smugglers had their high-value aliens ripped off, may I suggest that it is more important to determine who paid the cash to smuggle these aliens into the United States and what was expected of the alien after arrival and assimilation into the population. The idea that illegal aliens are simply from Mexico is false. The fact is that when we are not apprehending 95% of what is coming across the border illegally, it is impossible to even guess who is coming and why. It is also valuable to know that when the local sheriff's office requested DHS Air and Marine to transport them to the location of the triple execution, that the Border Patrol pilots initially refused to take the deputy sheriffs there because they deemed this area in the extreme northern end of the Tumacacri Highlands wilderness area too dangerous for them to fly over. Note, this smuggling group is wearing carpet booties to conceal their foot sign and carrying dark water bottles to lessen the chance the white jugs could be spotted from the air. Tucson Sector Border Patrol agents report apprehending large groups of Chinese and other Asian illegal aliens. Even illegal aliens from Russia have been apprehended near Nogales. However, this information is not generally available and seldom made known to the public. This is the view of the federal public lands west of Nogales, Arizona from Mexico. Nogales is the largest Border Patrol station in the United States Border Patrol, with over 700 agents. When you combine the 300-plus agents at Sonoita, Arizona, into that total, tiny Santa Cruz County has over 1,000 Border Patrol agents assigned to patrol a relatively short piece of the Mexican border. It is these Tucson sector agents that report apprehending less than 3% of what they know is crossing the border illegally. This low success ratio means that the drug and alien smugglers have high success getting their contraband into the interior of the United States. This also means that the land on the Mexican side of the border that accesses these lawless areas are very valuable and probably controlled by the transnational criminals that inhabit Mexico. We need to understand that the point of sale for the contraband is inside of the United States. There is no sale and no profit until the contraband reaches the destination inside of the United States. For instance, the cost of an illegal Mexican citizen to be smuggled from Nogales, Arizona to Phoenix, Arizona in 1993 was about $30 to $50 US. Today, it may cost an illegal alien from Mexico $2,500 to $3,000 for that same service. The cost dispels the notion that these are just poor people coming here to make a better life. $3,000 to the average illegal Mexican alien is not an insignificant sum. We need to know who is paying their cost and what is expected of them in return. Once the cost of drug and alien smuggling exceeds the consideration of any sum of money, the exchange then becomes a matter of blood. Once the costs are elevated to this level, we see true evil manifested in the struggle for power and money along the Arizona-Mexico border. The town of Caborca, Sonora, Mexico, lies along the main highway that accesses the Arizona-Mexico border west of Nogales, Arizona from the interior of Mexico. This white GMC Suburban was found alongside the highway near Caborca. The engine was running, the air conditioning was on, the window was rolled partway down on the rear passenger side, and blood was dripping out of the bottom of that same door. Inside the Suburban, the cargo was covered with 2 white bed sheets. On the bed sheets in red was written a narco message to whomever found the message that the people controlling this area are not to be confronted. Under the sheets were the remains of between 10 to 14 human bodies that showed signs of extreme trauma, bondage, torture, and dismemberment. This was clearly a terroristic message to others that whoever controlled access to this part of the Arizona border was prepared to defend their turf at all costs. At a prominent movie theater in downtown Acapulco, Guerrero, Mexico, the skin from a human head was found draped over one of the divider stanchions at the entrance. Nearby was a human head that had been skinned. 2 arms, severed near the elbow, cradled the head, and in the left hand was placed a complete set of severed male genitalia. Nearby was the severed head and hands of a 16-year-old boy, prominently displayed on a lounge chair. It is hard to imagine a scene that would terrorize those beholding it anymore, especially understanding that Acapulco is a major tourist destination for people from all over the world. These types of terroristic acts are commonplace in Mexico today. There is no way to separate the people that perpetrate this level of evil from the general population. Certainly no police record check would divulge that information, or else they would already be in prison. It is from this population and these life experiences that illegal aliens from Mexico come to the United States, have lived, and possibly participated in. Do you want them for neighbors? Considering the example we have discussed relative to the Tumacacre Wilderness Study Area, we will now move east to the New Mexico border and consider what is happening there. 2 United States senators from New Mexico proposed that a large wilderness national monument be created at the New Mexico border in the Patril Mountains, as represented here in yellow. The majority of the businesses and people in the area oppose this idea for national security and public safety reasons. Many of the elected officials in New Mexico want this wilderness national monument permanently created for perceived environmental benefits. Why? Is there more to the story? Clearly, the proposal would benefit the transnational criminals in the area. Is this a textbook case of environmental activism seeking to compromise national security and public safety for perceived environmental benefits? Or is there another dynamic operating here? Does it fit the parameters of a quest for power or money? Looking at this map, we see that the proposed wilderness is near Las Cruces, New Mexico, Interstate Highways 10 and Interstate Highway 25, and an airport. Close by to the east is Juarez, Chihuahua, Mexico, reputed to be the most dangerous city in Mexico, if not the world. To the west for miles is sparsely populated open land until you get to the U.S. port of entry at Columbus, New Mexico. Across the border from Columbus is the port of entry at Palomas, Chihuahua, Mexico. South on the main highway from Palomas is the town of Ascension, Chihuahua, Mexico, which occupies a place on the main highway from the interior of Mexico to the New Mexico border, much as Caborca occupies the main highway accessing the Arizona border west of Nogales, Arizona. This proposed wilderness national monument fits most all of the parameters of an ideal drug and alien smuggling corridor. At the police station in the town of Ascension, Chihuahua, Mexico, there was an ice chest marked as public vaccinations delivered by common carrier. Inside the ice chest were the severed heads of 4 men. Under the cellophane wrap was a narco message warning the police that the same thing was going to happen to them. This is a clear case of terrorism, similar to the Caborca incident. The police in Ascension attribute the dead men to a turf war between rival smuggling organizations, probably over access to the prime smuggling areas along the New Mexico border. One day about noon, the inspectors at the Mexican port of entry at Palomas heard gunfire south of the port of entry. A few minutes later, this red and silver Suburban was seen moving slowly toward the port of entry. When the Suburban reached the port of entry, it was discovered that the driver and the rear seat passenger were dead. The Suburban was being driven by the front seat passenger, who was mortally wounded, yet lived long enough to recount what had happened. The witnesses said the 3 officers were driving on the road toward the port of entry when they were passed by a pickup truck. As the pickup truck passed them, 2 men with automatic rifles sat up in the rear bed of the truck and fired into the Suburban, eventually killing all 3 occupants. These foreign transnational criminals already live among us. They live among us because of the 1986 amnesty, sanctuary city policies, an insecure border, and the lack of a political will to honestly pursue a logical solution to the illegal immigration problems of the United States. The magnitude and seriousness of this current situation is hidden in plain sight from the American people. It is concealed by misrepresenting the truth about the level of insecurity that already exists within the United States due to our illegal immigration nightmare. Consider this man, Jose Trevino Morales, as he celebrates the victory of his horse at the 2010 Futurity at Ruidoso, New Mexico. You see, Mr. Trevino is a bricklayer from Texas. Obviously, Mr. Trevino is a very successful bricklayer. Were you to have Mr. Trevino as a neighbor, or saw him walking down the street in Arizona, Texas, or New Mexico, you probably would not think anything of it. It is not a person's appearance that is important. What is important is his actions and behavior. Nobody became concerned when this prosperous bricklayer bought a horse ranch in Lexington, Oklahoma, or boarded his racehorses at Ruidoso, New Mexico. No, as long as he paid his bills and smiled, everything was just fine. The beginning of Mr. Trevino's problems began when he paid $3 million in cash for 2 racehorses. Reportedly, the Internal Revenue Service reviewed his tax filings and began to wonder where $3 million cash U.S. dollars came from. It turns out Mr. Trevino is not really someone we want living in the United States. This is what those pesky IRS agents discovered. Yes, these people live among us. Next, we have an illegal Mexican alien by the name of Cesar Vega Munoz. Mr. Vega was found living in Socorro, New Mexico, and working at the local Burger King there. Again, there's nothing about his appearance that would cause alarm. However, Mr. Vega is a career criminal that lived among us. Another New Mexico resident is also an illegal alien from Mexico. Meet Juan Galindo. Were you to see Mr. Galindo standing in the refreshment line at the local football stadium, you would not give him a second glance. However, you would not want Mr. Galindo cleaning your yard, pruning your flowers, or doing other work around your house. Meet the real Juan Galindo. Yes, that does say he has been arrested for sexually assaulting a 4-week-old female infant to death. Illegal aliens like Cesar Vega and Juan Galindo already live among us. You cannot tell what they have done or what they are actually engaged in simply by looking at them. We do, however, need to take strong measures, whatever measures necessary, to secure our borders and ensure the immigration laws are vigorously enforced to protect us and our families against such dangerous predators. NAFBO knows from the Arizona experience that this intelligence trend is valid. We do not have to prove it again in New Mexico to know where that wilderness proposal will take New Mexico. The conclusion is clear. Creating wilderness monument-like federal public lands along the Arizona or New Mexico border would promote border insecurity and benefit transnational criminals. It is also clear that a large percentage of the illegal aliens that currently live among us are undesirable. The question now becomes, why are these threats being ignored, and who is providing the money to support such efforts that would directly diminish national security and public safety? I have given you the examples and the tools. The answer to that question is up to you.
All right. This whole film with the graphic pictures and the pictures of the people that they talked about is available up on Free American 69 on Facebook. The links are there. These shows are available there. This is the second half of the show with Larry Pratt. And if you go to freeamerican.com, click on Larry's name, you can hear the interview with him and this second half here. Now, also what you are going to see here, when you go to freeamerican.com, you're going to see a plea there that I need your help. I have a I have a plea there. I had to take my motorcycle, had a problem. The camshaft was going bad there. So I took that in to the Harley dealer, nearest Harley dealer. And it's going to be $1,500 to pay for that. I don't have $1,500. If I pulled everything that I can from my Social Security, from my food stamp, from whatever I get selling a magazine for $2.99, I still could not pay this. I don't like having to ask for donations. I don't like begging. Don't care about that at all. Don't like it. Don't want to do it. But you know, I get email pleas for assistance and donations from dozens of sites and politicians on a daily basis. Reader-supported network that don't do any more than I do, but they've got every day I get, oh, we need money, we need money, we need to make donations, well, we need to make donations, we need to make donations. This is really the first time in the last year that I've been at a situation where I need donations. I live 8 miles from town. I can't walk there to get ice, to get groceries. I live 15 miles from an HEB. I can't walk there, I can't hitchhike there to get my food. If I don't get help here, I can't get the motorcycle out. I could lose the, and it's all paid off. My trailer's paid off, my motorcycle's paid off. I tried to set myself up so I can get by on what I got coming in and still do this show. I've tried to avoid begging, charging for my radio shows, and I've only asked for $2.90 for 9 cents for my magazines. I do not sell advertising on my sites or shows. I only promote those people and products I can personally vouch for. My expenses are low, $175 for space for my fifth wheel and $100 for electricity. Yeah, let me take this. Hello, 512 area code. You've reached...
Hello, Clayton Douglas. How are you doing? This is Denton Brunton here. You called earlier this morning.
How are you, sir? You know, I'm really looking forward to talking to you. Now, you called in, and I'm still on my radio show, but that's okay. That's okay. I was just telling people how I need some donations, how I need a little bit of help here. I moved to Texas, so I'm down in Seadrift, Texas, just a little bit south of Victoria.
How do you spell it? Seadrift?
Yes, sir, Seadrift.
Okay.
And my address here is P.O. Box 251.
Yeah.
Seadrift, Texas.
Okay.
And that's 77983.
Okay, where's your radio call numbers?
It's freeamerican.com. They're all up on, I'm up on Blog Talk Radio. If you click on the name of my guest, today it was Larry Pratt from Gun Owners of America. If you click on his name, that takes you to Blog Talk Radio. And I've got hundreds of, thousands of episodes up on Blog Talk Radio.
Blog Talk?
Yes, sir. blogtalkradio.com.
Okay.
And
I spell it Blog Talk.
Blog Talk, T-A-L-K.
Oh, Talk. Okay, I'm sorry.
But everything's linked. I also have links up there on my website to my Facebook page, to my YouTube page, to my Twitter page, and all the shows go up on all those other social networks also. I've got. I'd like to sometime come on your show for as a guest and talk about some things. Well, absolutely. That's why one of the reasons I called you. One of the things I got a little spot of cancer on my leg, and the last woman I got involved with stole my bottle of black salve, my Compound X. Yeah. And so I'm not able to fix the spot on my leg. And I wanted to call you and see if I could bum a bottle of Compound X, black salve, from you. Yeah. And in return, I'd like to put a link on my site or start selling black salve again, like I've done for years. I've been selling this for years, and I've cured people of cancer on it. It's not quite as much fun as curing cancer with marijuana, but it's effective. And I can tell you this, folks, I've gone to a doctor, got diagnosed with melanoma, or whatever they call this, and he wanted $300 to remove it with a laser or with a knife or something like that. I had a bottle of Denton Brunken's Compound X, and I put it on the cancer, and within 2 days, the cancer was gone, and I didn't have a $500 doctor bill. Right. That's great. And, I was just telling people, when you called here, that I don't sell advertising. Yeah. I simply won't do it. Because if I don't know the person and the product personally, I'm not going to take money to try to send you something that might not be good. Yeah. But I would like to, I would like to work however you want to work it, I want to put Compound X up on my website. I want to link, I've got a shopping cart. If you want people to pay me for it, I'll send you the order, and I'll take the money for it. Whatever, however you want to work it. But your product works. Your product. You're on the radio now? Yes, sir. We're live on my radio show right now. If you go to my website, you can hear the whole 2-hour shows. I'm doing 2-hour shows now. And all you got to do is go down to my shows. On the left-hand side, you scroll all the way down, and it's got my player there, and right below that, it's got upcoming shows. And Larry Pratt was my guest today from Gun Owners of America. And if you click on his name, you can hear this whole show. Larry Pratt, huh? Just Larry Pratt, okay. Yes, sir. And it's and then it moves on the second day. It moves to recently archived shows. That's down below, but there's links there. And you can also click on today's show, and you can click on Larry Pratt from Gun Owners of America, and hear the whole show. This segment where we're talking right now is at the end of today's show, May 21st. And I will have you, let's see what I've got here. I've got Tuesday, June 3rd open, and I'd love to have you on for the whole 2 hours. Talk about this.
Well, actually, I'm more into the gospel ministry, prophecy unfolding today. In relation to what's going on with our government. And I'm pretty well, that's what I'm concentrating on mostly is answering people's questions on prophecy.
We can certainly do the whole 2 hours on that. We can take phone calls. We can take questions. I've got chat rooms, things like that.
Okay. And what time would the broadcast start?
It starts at 9 o'clock a.m.
Okay. All right.
And I've got Tuesday, June 3rd open for you.
Okay. All right. Okay, so now I call this number 520-413 to make the initial contact with you, 2397, is that?
No, sir. I will call you. I'll bring you up, and I believe I left you a message, so I'm pretty sure I got your number.
Yeah. Yeah, you have.
And if you could send me a sample of the black salve, I would really appreciate that. If you want to donate to the show, I've got a motorcycle. My motorcycle's in the shop at Corpus Christi. It's my only transportation, so I'm really looking for some donations to get the motorcycle out of the shop. If you're in a position to and you can help on that, you can just click on any of the donate buttons on freeamerican.com, where your show will be listed. My show with you will be listed. And the subject matter of the show will be prophecy.
Okay. We'll leave it at that then, and I'll check this all out again.
All right, Sheriff, and you're welcome to call me anytime. Like I said, I'm just a little south of Victoria. I'd love to see you if you're in the neighborhood. If you can get down, drop down.
Okay.
I'm just about 30 miles outside of south of Victoria, right on the coast. I'm adrift in Seadrift.
You're adrift in Seadrift, Texas, huh?
Yes, sir. Nice to be back home. I've been in kind of a 45-year self-imposed exile here. So it's nice to be back home again.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
And if you can make me up a banner or give me the information I need, prices and all that, I will start selling your black salve on my website again. Because it's just the best thing out there. I mean, people need to know this whole cancer medical is a scam. The cancer research, it's a scam. It's they want to give you chemotherapy, and you don't need that. You need that black salve. I'm telling you, it works, folks.
Well, the black salve is something that we're not putting out there as a leader in our messages. What we're putting out there is, the full gospel. I do CD recordings every day, about 1 to 2 hours on prophecy, and we try to keep it under the radar on all this other stuff, this healing, balm of Gilead, and so forth. Well,
we can do that however you want to do it. I just think people need to know about that.
Okay.
And I found some information on that. From is Catherine? Is that your wife? All right. Well, she's up on the internet, so I found that information. But I'll share whatever you want, however you want it. Just let me know. We're out of time here. Thank you, Duncan. Nice talking to you again. I'm looking forward to having you on the show on the 3rd. I'll fix all that. That'll be up there in just a few minutes.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, sir. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.